Alrighty. I'm back. Well, took care of some things I needed to take care of. Hold on one second. And I still going to do the same thing. If I need to tend to my granddaughter, then I'll do that. Children come first before anything. But anyway, so I wanted to continue on. I wonder why I can't hear anything directly from here. But anyway, maybe I don't need to hear. Do I need to hear? Hold on a second. Let me see if I need to hear myself here. Could be the 1, 2. There you go. Oh yeah, it's the microphone. I mean, it's the headphones. Anyway, so I just wanted to continue on, and we spoke about Tritus and the different spiritual debris, right? Just like mental debris. So that's very important. So that segued me into a couple of things. Now I mentioned about a master teacher. Okay, one of the ascended master that I had the pleasure of being around. What I'm saying? And let's have a little discussion about this, because people are going to hear so many things. What I'm saying, about the case and whatever, and so many different things. But we'll discuss that later on, and especially about the case, because I wanted to bring up certain things about everybody talking about the freedom for the master teacher, and it's very difficult, because when the justice system has a way, and you could tell that. I mean, you can have this conversation with a lot of inmates, people that have been through that system. They bury you in so much paperwork. They bury you so much into paperwork. So you're in there and you have to fight certain mandates. You have to fight certain things that are being filed. I mean, it's just bombard you with paperwork. And the reason why they do that, because the concentration should be on, and you can't even, and let me tell you something, you can't even depend on the international courts, because, this man also had a status. He traveled around, and I'm telling you from personal experience. Let me bring him up. Hold up. This is the man that I'm referring to as a master teacher. This is the man that had taught me for many years, and to this day and time, still, when I read some of his works. But I had the pleasure of sitting personally one-on-one with this man. At the time we was dealing with Islam, so he taught me the surah of the Quran and gave me the breakdown and the language. My Arabic teacher was from Senegal. His name was Salim and Sisi, and the Hall of Knowledge. So I'm gonna bring up that conversation, because I'm gonna be vulnerable. People don't know too much about that, about me. I am a musician, but I'm also, people say, man, how do you know so much? What makes me, my character, my spiritual upbringing? Well, this is the man, Yanaan. This is the man, and this picture was taken back when I knew him. And this is the character of Yanaan, who was a teacher of the cosmos, the multiversity, the cosmos. He had many different names, many reincarnations. When we talk about reincarnation, don't get it twisted. Some people they kind of like spook that out. And it's like he was able to take on body of school of thoughts. And in that school of thought was able to reason and was able to manifest a character, spirit, which we call character and personality. This character and personality we refer to as Yanaan. In today's day and time, you see this picture, okay? And this is just a drawing, what I'm saying? That's the Sabian script. This is just a drawing. But this is how I knew him. This is how I knew him. This is a picture of how I knew the man. And, and there's some other pictures, I'm saying. And the thing is, at the time that I was around this man, I experienced a lot of great things. Let me tell you, you know, at the university, what I call it the Ansarullah University, we were so connected and tied in with the Ansar of the East, where if anybody knows the story of Muhammad Ahmed al-Mahdi, was a figure, a man that liberated Sudan from the British. They fought him. I mean, they got movies about him. You got to check out those movies that they got about him. I think Laurence Olivier played the part, or I don't know what actor, but they got pictures. They always portray him as a madman because he liberated Sudan from the British, and he was also a spiritual teacher. He wrote the what they call the Ratib. The Ratib was a spiritual writing, a spiritual book, a book of faith. So we used to read it every morning when we went to the mosque at the university. We had a mosque, and every morning we would read it because it strengthened your faith. At that time, that was like the book of faith, the book of unshakable truth, unshakable faith, because the writing, you had to read the works of Muhammad Ahmed Mahdi. The writing was the man was so zealous. I mean, such a spiritual man. And this is the great grandfather of Malachi Ziyor. You know what I'm saying? This is what, So we met his cousin, which was the prime minister. Remember, when they liberated the British, when they took Sudan from the British and they liberated, that family started to become ministers of the country, what was known as Sudan at the time. So the prime ministry, and one of the ex-prime minister was Sayyid Sadiq, may he rest in peace. And I personally met him. We had a connection. Now, what was told, his motor car came. I was at the fruit stand, so I greeted him as he came in, because he came into the fruit stand was the beginning of the tent, and we built the mosque there, and we used to pray in there. So when you what's going on here? Why is something? Stop that. So I had to receive him, and as he came with his motor car, he came from the United Nations. And at the United Nations, he spoke to the General Assembly, and he wanted to, to speak on Sudan and how, he wanted the Sudanese, and he wanted the world to recognize that Sudan will be going back into the edict of his great grandfather, which was Muhammad Ahmed Mahdi, or the edict, or the protocols that he set forth, because he became a dignitary, of the country of Sudan. And so the answer was very strong, very strong. It's like a party, a very strong party. So when Malachi Ziyor, we call him Alamamis at that time, today Yanaan, when he went over to Sudan, reconnected with the family, and the connection was, these are cousins. And Sayyid Sadiq used to send teachers to, and also monetary, funds to help us build, because we were about building a school, a university. So we wanted to build the halls of knowledge. When we went out there and we propagated, we would open up the newspaper, and it would be an architecture drawing of the architectural drawing. And this was our goal. And we finally achieved that goal, because I also worked in construction, and to my time off, I did some construction. I did carrying a lot of stones and going into the basement and cleaning up basements and stuff like that, because we was connecting those brown stones on horseshoe, connecting them together to build a big hall of knowledge, a university, classrooms, a mosque, classrooms, living quarters. This was a massive project. Well, Sayyid Sadiq helped fund that project too, from the Sudanese from the East, and he sent teachers to teach the children, because we were the representative, the Ansar, in the West. You know what I'm saying? So it was like, we was like an embassy at the same time, a multiversity, and an embassy also. You know what I'm saying? So the connection was there. An African state like Sudan at that time, and I'm talking about from the 70s, because it passed on from Sheikh Daoud all the way from the state mosque. It passed on in the 70s. And so the Ansar University had that connection. It was like an embassy. So, it's like he said they visited us, oh man, had a wonderful time. We ate, we broke bread. He made salat with us, which is like a prayer, Muslim prayer. He made that with us. I mean, he gave me a great salam, a great hug. He looked at me, he was like referring to my nose, like saying like, wow, royalty, he's seen the phenotypes that also he saw it over there in Sudan. Family. We were family. But you know what happened, with the whole coup d'etat and everything, and the takeover, Sudan became a military state, and a lot of things happened. So, it was best that we dropped that school, because we would have been, target. Like many times there were assassination attempt on Element Misa, on Yanaan. At that time, there was a couple of assassinated attempt because of the camaraderie, because of the of that warring battles that they were going on, political battles that was going on in Sudan at that time. So they just didn't want that connection, here in the West. And I meant a lot of Sudanese. They also came, to the Ansar here in the West, and lived amongst us in the quarters, with us, families too. So, I appreciate that I got to experience that. You know what I'm saying? Being a student at NYU, and then living my life the way I lived it, and actually, being there when this is taking place was a big privilege. I mean, we accomplished so much at that time. We wanted to build that school, and we built it. We built it. There are pictures. Pictures are worth 1,000 words. We can show you pictures, of that area. You know what I'm saying? So that goes to say that, the work that the man was doing, I saw it, the work that he was doing. And I think just like Malcolm X, and I wanted to pull that up. I will have to on the next podcast, because this is going to be a long one. I want to freestyle, and I want to go into certain areas, that are not discussed much. But I think they're important because it tells our story. You know what I'm saying? And what was I about to say? That's my thought. So, it's part of our story. You know what I'm saying? So let me move on. Disconnection. Okay, this is what I meant to say. So now, the whole thing about the case, and so much, it started with an infight from it within. You know what I'm saying? The fight, the battle started from within, and a lot of things started to happen. So now, when you let an outside force like the justice, police, or FBI, CIA, when you let the outside agency get involved, then it became very ugly. You know what I'm saying? And so we couldn't be protected anymore in terms of, we weren't doing anything. We were just learning our way of life. We was creating a certain way of life. You know what I'm saying? For us, that was, again, you know what I'm saying? This country has a history of that. Look what happened to the mafia. You know what I'm saying? Not to say that everything is all good, and not to say everything was all good with with the with that nation, with our nation, But in the case, I wanted to bring something up about Malcolm X. When Malcolm X became a real target, when Malcolm X started to go out to the African nations, you see, Yanaan, Nabab Yanaan, Malachi York was already doing that. He was already in contact with African nations. You know what I'm saying? But when Malcolm X, at the time that he started to do that, he wanted to do a debate at the United Nations, so he wanted to shed light on the plight of the African Americans and the atrocity, the things that was going on. And all he needed is one African country to introduce him into that debate venue at the United Nations. When this started to happen, when he was heading, and he got one country, when he went up to Cairo, they had a committee, and he started to get one country. I don't remember what country was, African country that was ready, willing to back him up, introduce him into this debate, and to have a debate, a United Nations debate amongst the General Assembly. When they got a hold of that, that's when you see 2 weeks later, Malcolm X was assassinated. You know what I'm saying? Things started going chaotic for him. Same thing with Malachi Z. You see, with Nabab, with Yanaan, and I mean, Yanaan is a spiritual, etheric being, but the man is Malachi Z. Malachi Yo. When he started to take the nation, the tribe, the nation, the people in this hemisphere, when he started to go now and establish an international setting, an international platform, that's when things started to go left. That's when things started to go bad. You know, when he started writing Set the Record Straight and the Constitution, and he started educating on us on political doctrine, that's when things started to go left. And so they had to bury him, you know, as far as to bury him underneath the rock, bury him underneath the earth where he's at max. So they say. I don't know. And I don't even want to speak on things like that. But anyway, you know, when you talk about, so, you know, this civilization, you know, and like they said, the power that be, you know, all of the, and I don't want anybody to get, you know, so spooked out or scared about speaking about subject like this, because it's out there already. It's out there already. You know, I'm just reiterating, you know what I'm saying? And so when it's funny, you know, that when you start speaking about things like this, it's just like, you know, different pockets of space appears. But what I was gonna say. Okay. So when you talk about fighting for his freedom, and they're burying him with all this paperwork, and you try to appeal to the international state, all of that stuff can work, because they're pieces of the puzzle. Okay. But again, we as a people, as humanoids, as humans, we can connect to these electromagnetic forces, and it's not to spook things out, this energy that moves. Because let me tell you something, this civilization, right, that birthed the civilization, and they have a protocol, they have rules and regulations, they have a history, an historical history, it goes all the way back to Babylonia, right? You know, the Code of Hammurabi. When you talk about law, let's talk about law. The Code of Hammurabi, and those are laws, those are codes, you know, canon codes, you know, the United Commercial Code. They're based on many different codes, and a lot of time it's all fragmented because they don't want you to put all the pieces together. You know, they don't want you to stand up as an international, or not only international, but a cosmic being. What we are, a cosmic being. You know what I'm saying? The whole earth. And so, talking about this doctrine, you know, they use 2 stars. There are many stars, or what you call angles, star angles. So you got the 5-pointed stars. So the 5-pointed star is based on 5 principles. You know, you got psychology, it's 1 P, what they call the 5 Ps. Psychology, you got polytheism, you have philosophy, and you got politics, and then you got the penal. The most difficult one is the penal doctrine, or the penal doctrine, or the penal principle. You know what I'm saying? That's based on many, many different codes. That the six-pointed star, which they hide, the sheriff might have it. It's the other P, which is hidden. It's there, but it's not mentioned much. As far as P, that six-pointed star, that 6P or principle is pharmaceutical. So this civilization their whole civilization was based on those principles. So it was like the six-pointed star, the five-pointed star with the six-pointed star hidden in there. And the six-pointed star is that sixth principle, which is the pharmaceutical, which pharmacia, sorcery, which goes all the way back into the Babylonian. When you look up the Babylonian tablets, Sumeria, they were invested in what they call the opiate trade and the opiate plant. You know what I'm saying? This is going really, really deep into this, man. You know, so those are those six principles, or six P's, or six-pointed star. So when they talk about the Jewish paradigm, stuff like that, a lot of them become medical doctors. They know this. They know this. This is what maintains their civilization. But not all of this is being reset. It's all being reset. Their dynasty is now losing its validity, because it's a change of time. Time changes. Empire rises and empire falls. They want to be the exception to the rule, but that's difficult because we're dealing with nature. We're dealing with man, progression. You know what I'm saying? We're dealing with forces of nature, like when I spoke about the forces, the electromagnetic forces coming from the celestial, from the cosmos, and funneling to the sun. One of the factors is the four factors, which is the origination factor, the de-origination, the evolutionary factor, and the revolutionary factor. We're in the revolutionary factor right now, heading towards a new origination. When you follow the seasons of the cosmos, that's what I'm saying. This can get very, very deep. We can have a discussion about that. And you say, well, how does this help us as a people? Because again, when we connect with these electromagnetic forces and we get this information, now we're able to see, to see, and to speak about the changes, this conditioning. Natural nature is a condition. These constellations, this sun, what it does, it creates conditions, what we call nature. Nature is a condition. You know what I'm saying? So that's why what they call the great transformation, the evolution. So, a lot in this civilization, those scientists, those of hierarchy, they know this. So they base their whole life, they plan out their life according to how the star charts or the constellation. They know that the great transformation, right? The alignment. They understand there's a change taking place. It happens every tens of thousands of years. But they don't want to give up. They don't want to lose. They want to, you know what I'm saying? But they know it. And they're making their changes because they brought in the fourth industrial revolution. You know what I'm saying? And they don't let us know. That's what the whole COVID is all about. COVID-19 is all about, bringing about that initiative. When you start looking at their playbook, and you start looking into the playbook and start looking at the committee in the United Nations and what discussions they're having. Now, I'm not telling everybody to go out there and research all this. No, you know what I'm saying? I mean, you live your life, but you try to connect as much as you can to these forces. That's what they talk about, the difference between the mental dead and those that are really awakened, is that you're gonna you have to gain ethereal knowledge, knowledge of the heavens, knowledge of beyond, that helps you see, helps your intuition and see your, the future, heading for your future. You know what I'm saying? And to, we're all caretakers of this planet. You know what I'm saying? So these changes are about to happen, and it's not a bad thing. It's not an evil thing. It's just, this is reality. This is reality. These changes, these constant changes. So it's just being aware of these changes that's going on. So this is what I learned with Malachi Z. York, that he was able to foresee and create a doctrine, reform, gather a lot of historical, scientific, and historical and data. He was able to reform it and to create a new doctrine out of the old stuff, created a new doctrine, because a lot of us need that in order to survive, in order to know, to survive what's coming. It gives us a sense of sanity. You know what I'm saying? This doctrine. You know what I'm saying? So I appreciate very much that he aligned that doctrine with actual what's happening. And there's also magic electromagnetic forces that are the primordial forces that birth our conditions, our nature. I hope that's not getting a little too kind of like, difficult. It's simple to understand. You know what I'm saying? It's just that, I'm invested in thinking about it, and learning about it, and I stay true to, the fact is that, I was schooled very well. One, with my mother, as far as morals and ethics. I learned that from that man, my master teacher, my mom's. Laura Pacho. I learned about morals and ethics and achieving things. My mother came from Puerto Rico. Didn't speak that much English when she came as a teenager, but taught herself English. Got to the point where she went to college, graduated, went to a master's degree at Fordham University. I mean, here's a woman from teenager from Puerto Rico, not knowing too much about the English language, a heavy accent, you know what I'm saying? And did what she did. To me, that's not saying it. One of my great master teacher, my mom. You can achieve anything you want to achieve. You put your mind to it, and you have to. And she taught us about the morals and ethics, about how to tolerate people's differences, and how to be clean, how to, your environment, and how important it is to be in the right environment. You know what I'm saying? That I learned, and I appreciate that very much. Malachi's joke the same way. The environment, the conditioning, the environment that he created for us at the Ansar, at Bushwick, felt safe. That was the hood. That's Brooklyn. That was the hood all around Myrtle Avenue, right? You got Myrtle, Knickerbocker, Flushing. That was the hood. But in that section right there was a paradise. How important it is for environment to bring us up into that type of environment, and his vision that he had, you know what I'm saying? Very, very important. So I am for, yes, fighting for the freedom of this man. People are going to come out with so many things about pedophilia and all that. And you know what I'm watching? They, with the Jeffrey Epstein thing, they got slick on that. They extracted him. They brought him up those charges. They extracted him. They gave him time, and of course they extracted him or killed him, whatever they did to him. But now they got that Maxine lady. I want to see that trial. I want to see how far they take that. Either they ice her or extract her, or let's see how much time they're going to give that woman. Because you give a man 135 years, you sentence him to death. That's a life sentence, 135 years. Okay? And then when you read the case, and that's how I big ups to my brother Hansu, Hansu is so invested in that. Check out Hansu if you want to get into that type of dialogue and study that case law. I think it's important for anybody that's into case law and law and things like that, international law. This is a teaching moment a teaching moment when it comes to law, because you got to see what president is this gonna, did Malachi Z your case set a precedent for child molestation, or this case is gonna set a precedent? We're gonna see. I want to see how many years they're gonna give this lady. Okay, because they got evidence on her, but then the evidence on Malachi Z York was faulty. It was based on hearsay and C-Shan and hearsay. There was no actual evidence. There was no footage or anything. But the Glassine case, they got footage. They got actual footage. You know what I'm saying? And evidence on this woman. You know what I'm saying? So this is very, very important. Very, very important, because again, it deals with law. It deals with that, that principle of penal principle. You know what I'm saying? That like I said, bury, that paperwork. And as much as you try to get out, all this paperwork is more paperwork and more what they call those. I forgot what they call that in law. All that paper they bury you in that paperwork. So you have to fight your way out of that one. But I tell all my people, everyone in the world, I tell them like this: look, any injustice done to any person, any human, is an injustice to all of us. It's an injustice to all of us. So we have to live in those moral ethics. You know what I'm saying? Is I can tolerate somebody different, but I have to set my boundaries. You got to set your boundaries. You know what I'm saying? Now people are gonna be like, "Yo, why are you talking about this? I don't even want to hear this or talk about it." But these are for those who do want to hear it. You know what I'm saying? And like I said, I'm honest. I honor those that have been good with me, that have taught me things. You know what I'm saying? That have been part of my growth. I don't know it all. I know the all, Pa'ut. Yeah, recognize the Pa'ut, the all expanding. But in terms of knowing all this doctrine and dogma, I don't know that all. There's so much to learn. There's so much. You know what I'm saying? And so I'm resonating. I'm echoing that which has been beneficial in my life. And I feel that it's beneficial in my life, in that it's no threat to other lives. It's beneficial to other lives. You know what I'm saying? Look at the school system now. Look at the household. Look at the state of humanity now. You know what I'm saying? And then you said, so why does it have to come then? You know why? People got lazy. And people that were doing the works and teaching, doing the works, the enlightenment works, enlightenment beings, what do? You just sit back and allow somebody to do what they do and shut them down, become assassinated or shut them down, prison? No. Look what they did to Apiso Campos. To the point where they radiated the man and killed him with radiation. And here's a man that just simply fought for the rights of immigrants and fought for the rights of his people. El puertorriqueño, el pueblo de Puerto Rico. As humanity, fought for the rights of humanity. And very intelligent man. A valedictorian for Harvard University, valedictorian. And then he wasn't able to give his speech for valedictorian speech. They hush and push him to the side because he was a melanated Puerto Riqueño man. And look what they did to him, So I'm just simply observing this. And I'm like, whoa, this is continuing. This has to stop. It has to stop if we are to, again, connect with the multiverse. And people say, oh, we get so spooked out. All those beings that are out there. What do you think? We're the only beings in this damn freaking Milky Way? We're the only beings here? This is the Milky Way. All those stars. We're somewhere in here. We're a planet. We're a solar system. This is it? Are you kidding me? There's a whole vast, like I said, there's an unseen, 96% of the unseen world out there. And you think that we're the only one? And then when you look at the cosmos, you see all those glowing ball of lights traveling here and there and there. Those are beings traveling here and there and there, because you was once a being traveling in the soup of the semen and the egg, the soup. You was once a consciousness, a ball of light that was wanting and getting ready to manifest. Getting ready to manifest into this condition, these particles, and you became manifest in this condition, this natural nature. And your true friend, your womb, the soup, is the multiverse, the constellation in the multiverse. That's the soup. So you think that you're the only one? Just like there are so many individuals out here walking and so many minds, what do you think there? There's no other, and there's so many planets out there. There's so many other conditions out there. So you think that doesn't birth a conscious ball of light, doesn't want to manifest into that type of avatar? Think about that. Expand your mind into that's what this is about. Expanding your mind into the multiverse. And then when it comes to dealing with things like that here on earth, about an injustice being done, that should be part of the conversation. That's the missing link. That should be part of the conversation. Take it to the hierarchy and let them know. I connect with that multiversity. I connect with those electromagnetic forces that sustains your very life. So does this man, Malachi Z.J., taught us about this. Connects with that electromagnetic force coming from the constellation. That's the reason why he's Yanaan. Yanaan, the light. A primordial state that manifested just like you, me, and all of us. Just like all of us. He's just, like they said, the first begotten. He's the first, one of the first ones to lead the charge. Had the guts, the will, the power to break through those chains so that you can have an opportunity to connect also. Because we became part of Nasiya, forgetful, right? They disconnected us, try to disconnect us anyway. Well, some of us maintain our connection. And Nabab, Yanaan, Malachi saw that in certain individuals. Oh yeah, that brother's still connected. He's still got his etheric cord is still connected to the spiritual being. He knew how to see that. Then he knew those that were disconnected and try to connect them back with doctrine, connect them back in different, whatever they needed to connect back, and to finally give them what they want so they may want what they really need, and that is to connect. So this should be part of the conversation when you're dealing with law, dealing with psychology, anything you're dealing with, all those principles, even with the pharmaceutical. The connection to the source, eating, being mindful of what you eat. Your kitchen is your medicine. Your kitchen is your laboratory. It's your medicine. And learning how to eat those electric foods. That should be part of the conversation. And then the law, politics. This should be part of the conversation. Master teacher freedom. That should be part of the conversation. Even if you take it to the United Nations, wherever you want to take it, whatever venue, it should be part of the conversation. Let everybody know this is what this man, this is what he taught. This is what he connected us back to that multiversity. Gave us back that humanity for all humanity. Not he came by way of a specific race and group, but it's for all humanity. All humanity on this planet. That should be part of the conversation. So when you're kicking that law and you're trying to get into that paperwork, you're kicking that law and you're trying to free the master teacher, that part of the conversation should be how that man connected you to the multiverse and that electromagnetic forces and use that power, because that is what powering us all over. And I can't do it alone. We all have to ascend. Meet him. We have to meet him. We have to ascend and meet him. We can't do it alone. He said it. I can't do it alone. We have to meet him there. We have to be mindful of a lot of things. And most important, at the core of it, is the morals and ethics. If you're acting like fools and idiots and separatism and racism and lies and all that dogma and doctrine, just kicking all that, and you manipulating the shadow self, and you're not balanced, what that goes to tell, what that goes to show the world. This is the example you are of your master teacher. This is how you get down. You know what I'm saying? So I just wanted to build a little bit on that. You know what I'm saying? You know, yeah, I when it comes to freedom, I did help. I answered the call as a Mason, you know what I'm saying? So there were certain petitions, there was certain money that had to be given, certain things I did in the past. Yeah, fine. But now, as I connect to these electromagnetic forces, and I'm mindful of what I'm eating, and I want to be an example of a good student that says, man, he's getting it. I want to be an example. I need help too. I ain't perfect. I need help also. Be that example. This man spent many years amongst us. Be an example of what he taught, and don't fall for what you thought he was doing at the time to try to connect with his people, but then look at the core of it, the morals and ethics. And he's a man. If he falls a little bit, you can pull his coat. Hey, man. A lot of time, people walking. I see things was there. Oh, I didn't agree on a lot of things the man said. I didn't agree on a lot of things. I mean, simple things, you know what I'm saying? Growing up, you know, as a youth. I didn't agree on a lot of things. I didn't see it at the time. You know what I'm saying? But I was able to let him know that, and he was able to correct himself. Oh, that's another story I need to tell you. One time we almost got into it. And I was young. I was like 18, 19 years old. And the man was like, at that time, was like 38 years old. And we almost got into it in an argument because of this lady giving me something that he wanted, and she gave it to me instead. And he was like, damn, I wanted that, and she gave it to you. Like, blah, 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 blah. Well, you know, bro, I could tell you some story. But at the end of the day, the man apologized. At the end of the day, we became so close. And I apologized. And he apologized. That's morals and ethics. I know. I experienced that personally with the man. And I appreciate that. I appreciate that. You know? So again, you know, I'm not going to stay too long on here, but anyway, I just wanted to say that, like I was saying, I'm freestyling, and I'm going to come back again, and we're going to talk about other things, you know. about this debate that was supposed to go. I don't know. The Harlem, I call it the Harlem hustle. A lot of shit going on with that. But we need to be, again, tolerant of these differences, and we need to really, like I said, what I'm saying, when we connect to these electromagnetic forces and we learn to speak the truth and we get to be an example, what I'm saying, of what this man meant to you and taught, what I'm saying? And a lot of us can share this with each other. We share it with each other. You know what I'm saying? We were all looking for certain things, but some of us, I want to know what you were looking for, what you saw. You know what I'm saying? So listen, Dan Sihibui, I love you. Ashuk, Musar. I definitely want to get into, and we're going to talk about also the Sabian culture, the Nuwapo. To me, Nuwapo is our philosophy, our philosophy. Sabian, Maspatu, Sabat. That's our culture. You know what I'm saying? It's complete culture. So the way I look, the way my perspective, my lens of how I see it. We'll discuss some of that. You know what I'm saying? Because we gotta learn how to tolerate differences, and we gotta all come to an agreement so we can go forward. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to everybody doing work out there. And like I said, you know what I'm saying? The world, the international world, the courts, they're looking at us. They're looking at the Sabians. They're looking at us, the Wapi and Sabian, to see what kind of people we are. Right now in their mind, it's like, what kind of people will follow behind a child pedophile? That's what's in their mind. But they don't know. You know what I'm saying? They just don't know. Okay? But when you show them how you are connected to the multiverse and saying, hey, listen, this is what I learned about me, myself. This is some of the knowledge that the man shared with me on a personal and a tribal sense. You know what I'm saying? This is what he shared. You know what I'm saying? We got to show that example. We're too separate. Some do this, and we got to come to. We gotta again look at the etheric self, and we're looking at an etheric enlightened being, Yanaan, right? You're looking at that etheric being, and so you got to break it down. That's what this whole podcast is all about. It's breaking down the etheric being, and it's for everyone. I don't care you purple, blue. I don't care what you are. This is about humanity, and when they see that, that's the force we can't lose. That's the electromagnetic force. When we move with that, we can move mountains, man. Figuratively speaking, we can move mountains. It's much more powerful than a nuclear bomb. And I'm speaking from experience, how we connected. At that time, we called it Allah, right? Allahu subhanahu wa ta'ala. At that time, we used that. But some of us already knew from back then there was something more beyond that, transcendental. There was something more beyond that. A lot of us knew there was something more beyond. And you could tell because the conversations we were having, deep conversations. One thing I learned about brothers, Ansar brothers and stuff, is that we could be in a room and we could have some of the deepest conversations, going beyond, powerful conversations. And you like, wow, I like that. Wow, I'm learning. You're and that's the way it was being around this man. Yanaan. That's the way it was being around this man. And you having those conversations, when I had those conversations with him, oh man, it's like, whoa. And then he will be the same way too. Like, yo, wait a minute. Wow. We were like at all. We were like, Awesome. Our minds were, man, you're going beyond, transcendent, beyond. Man, it was a beautiful thing, those conversations. And then, of course, that birthed philosophy, it birthed doctrine, philosophy, psychology, it birthed a lot of things. You know what I'm saying? When it deals with our political doctrine, we also got to get invested in that in terms of our tribal, the way our laws, our regulation, our laws within this nation. We are a nation within a nation, or we are a tribe within a nation. So we have also laws, bylaws, and stuff like that. We got to be invested in that, and make sure that it lines up with truth. Those pieces fit together, and also those, again, connecting with those magic electromagnetic forces. And when you say, what do you mean by magic electromagnetic forces? It's that force which they put in movies, like I think Star Wars, Feel the Force. You know what I'm saying? Or Star Trek, and looking for beyond world. And that's sort of like to dumb it down. But when you really look at it and look around you, and you see the movement of things, and you see that there's an energy behind the energy. I mean, there's something there. You know what I'm saying? And so powers you up, And it has a lot also to do with what you're eating, what you're intaking. Also, it's effective and afferent. I mean, goes both ways. Again, remember Morbius strip, the inner, the outer, the outer, the inner. Yeah, it has a lot to do also with what you eat. But they say food for thought. Well, food is thought. So when you eat properly foods and you stay away from those spiritual debris, right? Certain foods, and you stay away from spiritual debris and certain tones, and you stay away from certain language and certain people, toxic people. When you start setting those boundaries, man, you start creating a healthy environment for yourself. And when we create a healthy environment for yourself and we represent our master teacher, the world look at it, man, these are some very healthy-minded people. There's something this man got to be doing, right? You know what I'm saying? It's all relative, relates to each other. Anyway, I'm going to just end the broadcast here, and then I'm going to go do another one later on once my daughter gets in, because I tell you, I take care of my little one. I'm trying to help my daughter out. You know what I'm saying? She lives here with me. I'm trying to help them out. And that's what it's all about also, you know what I'm saying? You got to be tolerant, and you got to help or share. That's what this energy center, that we have the capability of sharing our abundance. So we receive an abundance of knowledge, an abundance of culture, cultural knowledge, an abundance of knowledge. Learn how to share that, because that's caring, you see, and not looking for anything in return, but that's unconditional sharing. They call it conditional love. Unconditional sharing, don't look back at anything in return, but it's abundance. But don't just throw it out there to swine. Like they say, pearls to swines. You know what I'm saying? And they trample upon it. You know what I'm saying? But you learn how to share it. You know what I'm saying? And what's needed, your environment, what it needs to create a healthy environment around you, and healthy beings around you, constantly reiterate it and help them, so they can also at one day help you. You know what I'm saying? So that's a very powerful center, what they call the heart energy center, with the sharing, what they call love or sharing. Caring is sharing. Sharing the abundance that you receive. There's magic electromagnetic forces, right? That's this abundance that's around us, right? Learn how to harness that so you can share it, just like he did. Just like he did. You can do the same. So take a good example, being a great example of your master teacher, and share that. And I see a lot of brothers and sisters out there doing that, and I appreciate that. And that's a beautiful thing. And we're going to continue on doing, because the fight is not over. I don't think this man wants to come back to the state of where we at right now. I think when he does make his presence again, it's going to be an international venue, an a galactic international venue. You know what I'm saying? You know, Africa got to get on board too. You know, and not only Africa, the Caribbean, Puerto Rico, to my Puerto Rican people, man. Come on, man. You're struggling with this political doctrine and dogma and all that when all those keys, everything was laid down through Abisu Campos and down to Malachi Z. York, Trinidad, Jamaica. I mean, come on, Santo Domingo, Haiti. Come on, my people. All over. And also Italian. I don't care. The world. The world. Let's be that example. Humanity. So when other galactical humanoids are looking at us and waiting for us or looking at us, they see a great example. You know what I'm saying? A great example. Anyway, I'll leave it at that. You know, what we're doing here is this is the cultivation of respect of the creative energy of the multiverse. You know what I'm saying? And I like this picture here. Look at this, the three suns. Again, this is a master. There are many master teachers. This is the enlightenment. This is the enlightenment being in this day and time, the powerful being. There was also other powerful beings too. And you're powerful too. Because you manifest here in this day and time, so you're also powerful too. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, I'm done. Let me get to my granddaughter, and I'll speak with y'all more in depth on the next one. Oh, I'm doing this all day, you know, until I get tired. I'm doing it all day. There's certain things I'm going to be speaking about, but peace and blessing to everybody.